Hello, Michelle. Welcome to Academic Coordinate.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Okay, so basically, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Who you are. Where you grew up, and how did you grow up?
Well, I feel like there are a lot of details to that, but I'll try to be as brief as I can. Straight to the point.
Yes.
So the one speaking is Muxe Maluleke, and I grew up in Limpopo, in a village called Oliphant's Hook.
Okay.
I'm raised in a family where both parents, of course, were present, in a sense of both mom and dad were there, and with the father around, it gets a little bit strict. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up in a family where we were taught a lot of principles by the men of the house, where it was all about you obey my rules. You know what I'm saying? If you don't do it, then life would be miserable. So I think, in as much as it was a little bit tight, it did really impart a lot of perspective, a lot of a principled life on me as well. So I went to school, primary and secondary there.
Where in Oliphant?
My primary and senior primary were in Oliphant's Hook, but then my secondary, which is high school, of course, was in a different village. And the reason for that move was to pursue academic excellence, because there was, my high school was amongst the highest performing schools in my area. So it was recommended that we should go there so that we can actually, focus and avoid a lot of things that were happening in my village and all that. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So what is the name of your school, by the way?
It's called Tiani Secondary School.
Okay, so Tiani, is it be strong or something?
Yeah, it's more like a commanding word. Be strong. You got it right.
Okay. So basically, so just tell us, in fact, something interesting, Moshe, about your upbringing, something that you'll never forget.
Well, I do not know whether I'm gonna focus a lot about home, or should I explore a little bit also about school or anything like that.
Yes.
But
yeah, concerning your upbringing, right? Concerning
yes. Okay. So, as I indicated, there was a lot of rules at home. So, that sort of like made me grow as a person who was mostly indoors. I was never the outgoing person.
Yes.
Go to places and be wild and just have fun. I wasn't that kind of a person. I was indoors most of the times, and I was just that person who loved watching TV, movies, and all those type of things. And my parents, I think, they noticed that and made sure to keep on buying like a lot of cassettes, because it was a VCR in that time. So that's what I would do the most. And my mom is she's a strong Christian, and then she took me to church. So in that regard, I grew up with strong foundations in terms of faith. I grew up in a Christian church, and that further also taught me morals, taught me how to behave, taught me to know God, to have a relationship with Christ. And also at the same time, when I look at my community, in as much as no community is perfect to that level, but most of the people around, man, they will just treat you as their own child. And when you try to stray a little bit, they will just come and correct you, show you the right way. So I can say I grew up in an environment that was very caring, that was, that made sure that if you were to do something out of the ordinary, they rebuke you and bring you back to line. So all
Wow.
of these really contributed to my upbringing, and I can say even the way I conduct myself, the way I think, the way I see life. It is not just
Yes.
my parents, but everybody else in the community, including my teachers also in school. For me, I was always under like strict teachers as well, and
Yes.
at least as a student who, or a learner who, at least the grades weren't bad. I always caught their attention as well. So they would take me aside sometimes outside of the schoolwork and just begin to talk to me about life and the
Yes.
things that they think I can do in order to make sure I remain on the right path. So all of that really, really played a big role.
Wow, that is quite interesting in the sense that just not only your parents, that had an impact in your upbringing, but even the
Yes.
neighbor and, that uncle down the street had an impact as well. Your teachers
Yes.
and everybody. That is quite interesting. So looking in the community currently, do you think that kind of, or that level of mentorship is still present, in your community currently?
Well, I would say it's still there because I mean, most of the people are still there. It's not like, most people left or maybe they passed away. Most people are still there. But I think the issue now is not with the mentors, but the mentees. Because
Okay.
in my times, it was easy to listen to an elder. We were taught not to talk back to our elders. The mentality was that the elder is always right. When they would give you an instruction and tell you this is how it should be, that's how we were raised, to just listen. But nowadays, the youth, they've got answers to everything. They are learned, so they want to question
Yes.
everything, and it reduces that kind of influence that the elders in the community can have in their lives. They
Yeah.
talk about rights nowadays. They just want to go about life and all that. So
Yes.
it's there, but it is no longer as effective as it was back in the days.
Oh, okay, cool. So now coming to your high school, Moshe, what kind of a learner were you in high school? Honestly speaking now, were you one of those, that were always the top of the noise makers? Or, were you the nerds, that studied the entire time? Or the famous ones, you know what I'm saying? That was just, I don't know, in drama, in dance, in art, whatever. Which crew did you belong in?
Well, I've always been a quiet person. What I'm saying? I was not talkative and I was extremely shy. So even
Is
when
that so?
I got to high school, I can put myself in the group of the nerds because
Okay.
I wasn't making noise in class. I wasn't called out for misbehaving in school.
Yes.
The only time I'd get punished,
Mm-hmm.
it's those times where you find that the entire class is getting a beating. Maybe
Okay.
we are getting punished for someone else's mistakes. But I was always that kind of a person who was quiet, focused on their schoolwork. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was even really not easy for people to notice that we are there up until maybe at the point in time where I started preaching, in the morning devotions, whereby
Is that
everyone now
so?
knew this guy. Yeah, you know.
Oh, okay. That is quite interesting. So
Yes.
almost in high school that you don't need to be actually I don't know, being given a certificate, right? From
Yes.
from church that you are a pastor. In high school, you just mention any verse in the Bible, or just
Yes.
say anything relating to the Bible, then automatically, you are an
Mm-hmm.
automatic pastor. So that's quite interesting. Okay. So tell me, Muxe, now, where did you envision yourself in high school? Did you have the same, like where you are now, is it where you envision yourself from high school, or your perception got distorted, or maybe it changed as you grew?
Well, I can confidently say where I am now is not, where I envisaged myself to be. Maybe in the next coming years when I was still in high school. I
Yes.
mean, growing up in my type of a place, we grew up like deep in the villages. So we didn't have much access to the internet at that time. We
Yes.
didn't even have smartphones, like phones that can actually give you access to a lot of things.
Yes.
So when you think about school and having to have a career,
Yeah.
in your mind you are thinking about medicine, you are thinking about engineering, you are thinking about accounting. So you
Yes.
really do not know much about what is out there. So I grew up with this passion of wanting to be a medical doctor. I
Yes.
always saw myself doing medicine, and throughout my high school days, that was the thing. I just wanted to be a medical doctor.
Yes.
So going out, um, going out in outside of my village, going out of my high school,
Yeah.
coming to places like the university type of a place where
Yeah.
you have access to internet, where you have computers, all this type of things. That
Yeah.
is why I realized that, well, there is actually a lot that I didn't know concerning career choices and streams and paths and all that. I discovered
Yes.
there are many things that one can do, and at the same time, it is always I discovered that some of these things that I thought I wanted to do, they were not within my strengths.
Yes.
It was just a desire that I heard that, I just want to be like that. This is what I want to do. I didn't consider a lot of things. Is that my strength? Am I strong
Yes.
enough in this field and all that? So I got to discover it when I came to the university spaces,
Yes.
and a lot.
Wow,
Yes.
wow, wow. So basically, Moshe, would you still say there's a bit of a lack in terms of career fairs in school where learners are enlightened about different careers, besides
Yes.
the one that we might be exposed to maybe in hospital and in the education field and stuff like that. So do you still think that there is room for improvement in high schools currently?
Well, I remember in my times what they would do concerning career fairs, right? It was considered as like a school trip where you had to pay a certain amount and then you travel to a different location, so that you can have access into this type of information. But bear in mind, in my type of a place, we were not so much advanced in terms of development and finances and all that. Some of the learners couldn't afford to pay for this type of trips, So you simply because your parents can't afford you going on that particular school trip, it means you end up missing out on on this type of knowledge. So I think one thing that can be done, or the improvement that the government can do, instead of having to go outside of the school to go somewhere else for this type of things, they can bring the career fairs to the schools where everyone can have access, just like they do in university type of spaces, so that they can cater for everybody. I believe in that way, people or youngsters, the learners can actually get to know the variety of courses and career streams they can choose.
Wow, quite interesting. Well, that is so cool. So basically, Moshe, now coming into the university space, right? So can you tell us something interesting about your transition from where you were, to university now, studying actuarial science and stuff like that? Can you tell us something memorable about that transition?
Well, Honestly speaking, it wasn't an easy journey for me because I was still trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to study,
Yes.
and
Yes.
when you are in that type of a phase, everything that comes and tries to resemble where you had seen yourself to be, you want to
Yeah.
take it and you don't consider a lot of things. So now, leaving home and coming to university, for instance, I didn't even have a background on how to operate a computer properly, so
Yes.
it was a great struggle. And I remember when I applied for medicine, I applied on several universities, including Stellenbosch. So they spoke about NBTs, to say they form a
Oh
part of
yeah.
the selection and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I'm coming from a deep rural, it's
Yes.
your first time to hear about NBTs. You don't know what they are all about, what is happening,
What in the
you know.
world is NBT?
Like, what is this? You don't even know what it stands for. Like, if someone will say, what does NBT stand for? You don't know,
Mm-hmm.
So it was that. We just knew that we had to pay for NBTs to go and write, but we didn't know what is happening. There was no material prior to that for us to prepare and be aware of what to expect. We just
Yes.
went there and wrote, and, like everyone else. And
Yes.
then, well, simply because of the schooling we received in my high school, some of the things we could answer, but our results were not to that level,
Okay.
So,
Okay. I
so,
mean,
so, 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 mhm.
NBT. Moshe, I think I wrote it twice. You know what I'm saying? When I
Yes.
wrote, I remember it was a rainy day. I wrote it in UCT. So when I wrote it for the
Yes.
first time, oh my God, I was not impressed. My marks were so bad. I had to repeat it. So I think even currently, some of the students still battle in terms of what am I going to be tested on? You know what I'm saying? They just know that
Yes.
it's maths, academic literacy, and the other one and stuff like that. So I think there's also still room for improvement in that case. So basically,
Exactly.
Moshe, can you just take us through your course, right? For someone's mom in Oliphant or in Leboa or or wherever, right? Who doesn't even know what in the world is what careers are out there, or what fields are out there besides maybe like medicine or other fields that are popular. What in the world is actuarial science?
Oh, okay. So just to sort of like quickly wrap up, as I said, I wanted to do medicine. I couldn't make it because of my NBTs.
Yes.
So when I spoke to the academic advisor there in Stellenbosch, she said, no, man, try the BSc route,
Yes.
and do human life science. That way, if you do well, then, we'll take you into medicine, maybe in your first year or your third year. I enrolled for that course. One thing
Yes.
that I discovered within that journey was that it has a lot of theory work where you have to sit down and do a lot of reading, and that
Yes.
is not the strength of mine. So I suffered a lot with having to grasp the work. When you get to
Yeah.
second year, but you are still not in sync with the work that you are doing. It's like
Yes.
you're lost. You don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So that was it. And when I looked at my performance, it was not on par. Then I realized my dreams of being a medical doctor is like they just keep on drifting far away from me,
Yeah.
And then I sat down and then I started to brainstorm, to think and look into things.
Yeah.
And that is when now, at a particular point in time, I heard about actuarial science. Then I was like, okay, I'm having an interest on this. Let me just read. What is it all about? And then from that, I didn't even delve much into it. I just read like a small portion of it. And then I found myself applying here in the UFS, and then I
Yes.
came. So much of the information about the course, I received it while I was here, to know much about what it's all about and all that. And another thing that I can say is that the main interest that really, pulled me in was the money, of course, the finances. Let me be honest.
Okay, so you trusted the figures you saw online.
I saw that. I'm like, I need to be a part of that. I need to get in there. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So, when I arrived here,
Yeah.
the way in which you do registrations and all that is like it's a bigger hall where you find that it's different stations for like different courses and stuff.
Yes.
So as I was approaching, I see it's written actuarial science and statistics. Then there weren't like a lot of people there, so I started being intimidated a little to say, why aren't there people there? But in other places, I can see like people that are packed. So when I arrived there, the coordinator gave me sort of like a paper. It was more like a form of some sort, and then he said, "Read this. I'm coming." So when I opened that thing, it gave like a proper layout of what the course is all about. It was just to give you a briefing of what you are getting yourself into. Because they have to give you like a small counseling before you actually register for this thing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. So what in the world did you see in that form then? It's like it's a signing your life sentence or something. What's going on? What did you see in that form?
No, in that form, basically, he was just giving you a background of what actuarial science is all about, but more emphasis on the actuary, itself, like the profession itself of being an actuary. So,
yes.
To define what is an actuary is basically someone who uses statistical and mathematical methods, to solve like financial problems in companies, in different what's this word, in different platforms or institutions rather. So that's what actuaries do. They incorporate like different skills in order to conclude a particular decision on that. So on that form, that is what it was saying. So they went in to clarify that you need to be strong in mathematics, because the course is like about 80% mathematics. You're going to be dealing with calculations and figures and all of that. So I was told that if I'm strong in mathematics and I enjoy it, then this course will basically be for me. But however, there was another thing that was mentioned to say, well, it's not purely maths, because we still have mathematical science, we still have applied maths. If you are all about maths, then go there, because this is not going to be like that type of an approach. Here we are bringing a lot of skills and largely apply them in a mathematical manner to come up with solutions and stuff like that. And then I looked at that, I'm like, okay, I think I can do this, because, well, I love mathematics, and I did a little bit of research about this. I was convinced this is what I want to do and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, it's fine. But what I will tell you is that we have a lot of people, or quite a number of people, enrolling in, but coming out is not easy, because a lot of students, when they come here, they come with different motives. Most of them, because they are largely on money, they are thinking about the figures and all that, and they didn't consider their strengths. So during the course of the year, when certain challenges within the degree begin to arise, you find that one doesn't have strength to contend with it, because they realize this is not for me. I can't keep up with this because it's too demanding, man of God. I can tell you that.
Wow. Okay. So just tell me, Moshe, when you say someone who loves mathematics, right? So I just want to
Yes.
get a snapshot now as to which degree of maths are you guys exposed to, right? In terms
Can
of,
you
is
repeat
it
that?
which degree of maths or which portion of maths are you guys exposed to? Are you
Oh,
guys
okay.
dealing with calculus? Are you guys dealing with linear algebra? You know, what kind of maths, or is it financial maths? What in the world? Which maths is this?
Okay. So part of it is
Yeah.
statistics. Well,
Oh,
statistics is
stats.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
applied mathematics, you
Yeah.
see.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then also at the same time, it is stats coupled with calculus. We do advanced calculus, we do vector
Oh,
analysis,
interesting.
and vector analysis is basically an introduction of linear algebra, but we don't go
Exactly.
deep into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, yes. I love math so well. I'm just interested as well as to wow, that's quite interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, basically advanced calculus, it's differential equations. Those are the
Yes.
things that we do. And then we also have financial mathematics. I mean, since you as an actuary, you'll be using mathematical and statistical skills in order to solve issues in companies,
Mm-hmm.
then definitely finances has to be a larger part of it. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in a company, a type of a skill that can come from a mathematical angle or stats, it has to do
Mm-hmm.
with finances most times.
Yes.
So we do have financial maths as a module as well.
Okay. Okay. So what about people who don't love financial maths?
If you don't love financial maths, I would advise you to try and look for something else, because you just cannot run away from financial maths within this course. You are going to
Yeah.
do it whether you like it or not, and it's intense. It's deep.
Is that so? Wow, man, that is it. This sounds quite interesting. So basically, how does a normal day for a person who does your course look like? You know, like for example, in chemistry, you would do reports. You know, you go
Yes.
to class and you learn the theory, you go to the practical, you do the preps, do reports and stuff like that. So basically for someone who's studying actuarial science, what is the typical day-to-day, how does it look?
Okay. Well, I feel like it differs with different universities
Yeah.
based on their the scope and the way they are approaching things. So let me
Mm-hmm.
speak with my university's perspective, or from
Mm-hmm.
this perspective. So
Yes.
a normal day for me, it's full of classes basically and tutorials. I mean, our practicals is simply you get going into that class, and they show you how to deal with mathematical problems. But
Yes.
then the only time where I can say we are dealing with serious practicals, it is when
Yeah.
we are dealing with stats, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the type of data that you have to deal with is a lot, and you have to use a computer. That is where we go for practicals, and
Mm-hmm.
they show us how to do that. Sometimes we are doing assignments within the practicals and stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms of maybe reports, just like how it is in chemistry, we
Mm-hmm.
don't have anything like that.
Oh, okay. So basically, looking at your course, you know, holistically, what is the most difficult part about it? You know what I'm saying? What is the most difficult part of your course?
Okay. There are several things, but let me just try and explain them in order.
Yes.
The most difficult thing, and what separates my course from another usual mathematical degree, is the
Mm-hmm.
issue of exemptions, right?
Okay.
Because you need to get exemptions, and it is the same everywhere. An exemption for a module is about 65%.
Yes.
So that becomes a minimum requirement for some of these modules. You need to get
Mm-hmm.
that mark sometimes
Mm-hmm.
before you can proceed to the next semester or something like that.
Yes.
So it's no longer about the content only that you are dealing with, but now it's about the minimum requirements that you are dealing with,
Yeah.
which now makes it hard and needs a lot of time from you, because it seems as if like it forces you to excel. You are forced to sort of like perform at a particular standard. It's no longer just
Yes.
about getting a 50%. You need to get like a certain satisfying mark before you can be allowed to move forward. I remember in my first year, for me to proceed to second semester to do several maths modules and statistics,
Yeah.
I had to get distinction for calculus. That was a minimum requirement. Imagine a distinction, a 75, a minimum requirement.
For calculus.
That was I'm telling you.
Well, you know that a 75 is a distinction in university, so you had to get a distinction in calculus.
Yeah, it was a must. If you couldn't get it, they would make sure that you are removed from the program, and they were very strict about it.
Are
They
you
didn't
serious?
play games. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Okay. So yes,
Mhm.
yes. So basically, Musha, at this point, right, in your life, just currently, do
Yes.
you know how to or would you know how to practically apply the skills that you have learned, in a workplace?
Okay. Well, in a university, one thing that they teach you the most, because I mean, I have other brothers and sisters who already are in the workplace, and
Yes.
I do have time to ask questions and sort of like also go online and try to see how it's like. So in the university space, they teach you the theory part of things. You just know theory. But when you
Yeah.
go out there in the workplace, it is a different picture. I mean, we are doing maths and we are writing everything down on paper, you know what I'm saying? And they are busy marking you and everything. But in the
Yeah.
workplace, they use a computer. Like when I look at most people who are in my field, when they say they are doing work, they're just sitting in front of a computer using a mouse and they are dealing with Excel most of
Yes.
their times.
Okay.
So, you look at all these things that they taught you and you look at what they do, you're like, is all of this necessary? What's this all about?
Yes.
But I feel like a portion I can try to apply. Yes.
Okay. Seeing that your field is quite demanding, are you
Yes.
really having fun, in your field of study, or is it just about meeting deadlines?
Allow me to stress and emphasize this particular point, right?
Yeah.
Um, in order for somebody to do well in my course, they must give away everything. Basically, that's how it is. You don't have a social life. You don't have time to do all of these things. You are just someone who's glued to your books. That's how it should be if you really want to
Yes.
excel. So, I mean, even on weekends, what you are
Yeah.
doing when people are going to clubs, going to different places, you are sitting down with your pen and you are
Yes.
practicing. You are in the library, you are in the study labs, you are in your room, practicing and all that. So, if really your mind is into this, and if really you want to excel in this course, you will, and you will enjoy it when you start seeing the bigger picture and bonding with it on a specific level. You enjoy it. But if you just want to see it as some course that you are doing, it is going to make your life difficult, because
Yeah.
having to cope with the work that is there is going to be challenging. Having to deal with the time management with most of these modules is not easy.
Okay,
It's
okay,
not.
I get you. Okay, perfect. So, okay, Michelle, this is the second last question I have for you, right?
Okay, no
I
problem.
did not send you this question, so
Okay.
it's basically a bonus question that I always ask,
Oh,
people, or some of my, colleagues would ask other people this question. So I want to ask now, to what
okay.
extent um, do you think your field of study, right, can be
Mm.
automated in a workplace? To what extent are you threatened, by the AI that is, taking over in our
Yes.
nation and different parts of the world. So yes, to what extent can your field be automated?
Well, I feel like since it has a component of programming in it, because you have to program stuff and
Yes.
program formulas and all that. In that regard, the strength of artificial intelligence can really be another thing, because I mean they can program computers now to just do the work. But
Yes.
one thing that I love is that it doesn't matter how far they can go about it, but that strength of decision making, there is a certain level of decision making that a programmed computer cannot reach. I mean, let me just do this quickly. There is a certain level of I mean, these people, they just want to disturb you. There is a certain level of programming that is that is there within my course, right? So if artificial intelligence comes into the picture, well, yeah, it can try to take over some portion of the work, but there is a certain portion which the computer cannot do, and that is the reasoning behind the decision making. The computer will still need a person to operate it in order to finalize things. I mean, we also at the same time deal with modeling. You model things and model formulas for companies. Maybe it's an insurance company and stuff like that. I mean, there are certain cases which a computer cannot predict. Just like that. Because I mean, let's say, for instance, we are talking about natural events that can just happen out of nowhere, or we are talking about just events that are unplanned. A computer will never necessarily be prepared for that to a certain extent, and that is where you come in as well, as an actuary, and you try and apply skills based on what has happened now in order to reach certain decisions. So I think it doesn't matter how far AI can go, actuaries will still have jobs. That's what I can say. So I think it can easily be incorporated automated into this as well, and security is there.
Oh wow, that is good to know. So it means that people can still enroll, right, in actuarial science, right? So that is
definitely
so much interesting. All right, Muxe, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time and your honesty as well. We're grateful to know that you're very much honest. So at this point in time, Muxe, this is your platform to say words to the youth of South Africa, to the youth globally. Yes. So if you are given a mic and then they placed you on top of, I don't know, Soccer City Stadium, and they say address the youth, briefly address the youth. So this is Muxe Maluleke's address, right? So what would you say to the youth globally?
All right, for a word of encouragement, I believe that there is nothing that we can label as difficult in the world. I mean, if there are other people doing it, then everybody else can do it. It's a mental thing. If you approach something believing that it is difficult, it is going to be difficult, because remember, the body reacts to your brain. So if your brain is programmed for defeat, even your body, it will manifest defeat. But if you motivate yourself and convince yourself, I'm going to do this, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it, even your body begins to respond, and there is positive energy that is there. There is a positive attitude, and that makes you also to even have an ability to tackle even most of the complex and difficult problems. So to the youth, don't allow anybody to tell you that you cannot do anything, or you can't do something. If you want to do it, go and do it, and you will do it, and you will get the results that you want. The only thing you have to do, give it the effort that it needs. Invest the time. Invest the time that it needs. Don't try to cheat. When you try to cheat, it will always reflect. Try your best, to go through the process and give it your all. I mean, take a look at most of the scientists and all of that. Most of them, I mean, they didn't listen to discouragements, and look at what is happening now. Many inventions in the world, there's just a lot of things happening. And another thing that I want to say is that do not be scared of failing in life. You will fail at some point. You won't always get it right, but the main thing is to keep going. When something happens and you fall down, pick yourself up and ask yourself, okay, what can I do to improve this situation, instead of whining and complaining, because there is nothing that comes out of that. So always tell yourself, I need to come up with a solution. At least, at that time, you would have known what not to do. So it means that you are now a better person. You're at a better standing point to tackle the problem once again. So give it your all. You can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Wow. That was mouthful. Thank you so much. I can sense the gratitude from the youth in USA, the youth in Zambia, the youth in Australia,
yes.
The youth in London and South Africa. Thank you so much, Muxe, for your
It's
words
a
of
pleasure.
encouragement. So
Yes.
basically, I like the words you said, that you can literally do anything. You know what I'm saying? So thank
Yes.
you so much for that. We are really grateful, and thank you for joining
It's
us
only a pleasure.
tonight. Thank you for joining us
It's a
tonight,
pleasure, Maluleke.
and enjoy the rest of your night, and have a blessed week ahead of you.
You do the same. You do the same. And thank you so much for having me. It was only an honor just to come and share a bit of my experiences, and enlighten someone out there who is about to start their journey, who is going
Yes.
somewhere. So any time for me to serve, I'm always available.